Hi, friends. It's Ollie and I here. This is Unhinged Founder. I'm Melinda Jackson. If we don't know each other, I'm the founder of Melinda Jackson Public Relations, a boutique PR agency in Raleigh, North Carolina. We service clients all over the world, and we do all kinds of fun shit. I have someone that's maybe slightly unhinged, definitely not a founder, and our very first male guest ever. This is Will, guys. All right, I got my camo on today for Will because we're both North Carolina kids. Ollie is here. He's excited. So, Will, tell us your life story. Tell us all about you.
Okay, great. Sure. So my name is Will Griffin. I'm a TV writer, been spending the last 20 years in film and television in some form or fashion, done a million different things in that world. And I have founded exactly zero things. So I'm highly unqualified to be on this podcast. However, I am unhinged. So
Yeah.
that I guess that's a qualification there. So yeah.
Hey, it's fine. And Will is our first, besides Ollie, our first male guest. So this is so exciting. I figured who better to have as the first male guest than a fellow North Carolina kid that moved to LA like me and worked in entertainment. So tell us like life story. Obviously, I know you grew up in Wilmington, and Wilmington is big for film and TV. So did you get the bug there? Like, what does that all look like for you?
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, I'll start at the beginning. Actually, yeah, some fun facts about me. So I grew up in Wilmington. I went to the same the same elementary school, middle school, high school, and eventually college as Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
So that's my
Just a
big
few
claim to
years
fame.
younger, a
Yeah,
few
yeah. We
less
weren't
national
quite.
championships
Yeah,
and NBA rings.
yeah. It was famous for Michael Jordan and Laura Trump. Actually, she went to my
Oh,
middle school and high school as
wonderful.
well. So yeah,
Wonderful.
formerly Laura UNESCO. But anyway, yeah, so I started out there. Yeah, like I said, I went to Carolina, ended up, um, getting into film and TV kind of there, getting excited about, writing and that sort of thing. And I grew up doing a lot of plays and stuff too. So I was always kind of in that whole world of entertainment. And then I ended up, from there, I ended up just working in like local commercials and stuff and like just doing whatever I could to get a start. That led to my first movie, which was the big time movie that I worked on as a PA, as a production assistant. And that was Death Sentence, which I'm sure everyone
Not a
knows
clue.
about. Yeah. It's actually, well, here's the funny. So it's actually a Kevin Bacon movie. So
Okay.
I am now 1 degree separation from
Yeah,
Kevin Bacon, and now since
truly.
we've worked together, you're now 2 degrees.
Two. Yeah,
So, yeah, so
exactly.
you're welcome. Uh, you can tell people that now.
I will.
Uh, yeah. But anyway, yeah, so from there, then I worked on just a million different, TV and film, and then I really wanted to get into TV writing, so then I moved out to Los Angeles. Um, from
And
there,
what
and then
year was that?
oh man, now I'm really gonna date myself. It was 2009.
Yeah, so
So
that's when
yeah.
I moved there too.
Okay, right, yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, we could have carpooled.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I
um,
I even said to you when we met that like I wonder if we were at some of the same UNC alumni stuff because when I moved
oh,
to LA, the first thing I did was like who is from North Carolina? Like who can I be friends with that gets it? And so I met a couple of people at an event and like two of them were from Fayetteville, one was from Charlotte, and I was like, "Oh, my friends." And one of them was an alumni. Lauren Powell. Did we talk about this already? Lauren Powell, she's a comedy writer and creator. Anyway, so I would go to all the UNC alumni events, and I did not go to UNC. I did not. And so I let everyone in LA think that I went to UNC because it was just easier. But I went to Campbell, and nobody knows what that is. So,
yeah, yeah, we
so you moved
probably
there in
ran into a lot of the
2009.
same people. Yeah. Yeah, so I moved out there in 2009 and just kept doing kind of the same like production work, like just and then anything really. I mean, I was doing all kinds of stuff, working I ended up doing like I joined SAG and got into started doing like extra work, and I was like, I realized I could actually make so my big job as a production assistant was like wrangling extras and stuff, and I realized once I got into SAG, I was like, you know what, I can make more money sadly is an extra than I can as a production assistant.
And
So I was
have
like,
to
I'm
do
just gonna
a
sit
lot
around all day.
less.
Yeah,
Even
exactly.
if they don't show you, you're just sitting there eating food all day, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. Yeah, you're just hanging out and like just waiting to get, called in there and dress up in funny things and stuff. Um, so yeah, so I ended up doing that, but I kept wanting to try to get into TV writing. So I was, just constantly writing. I got into uh let's see. So yeah, just constantly writing something like you would always like write these scripts to try to, get management and stuff. So I ended up getting a manager and eventually I got an agent. Um but yeah, long story short, yeah, I ended up like, getting as like an assistant to some showrunners and stuff to actually the famous Bob Boyette of Miller Boyette Productions.
Yeah.
They did all the TGIF shows we all grew up with,
Mhm.
like any
I
obviously.
remember seeing that, like,
Yeah.
when I was little on the thing at the end.
So obviously Full House, Perfect Strangers, Step by Step, all the greats. So I was working for him, and then that, led eventually, to working on Fuller House, which was, probably I guess my biggest claim to fame. And then I eventually became a writer on that show once I got into it's kind of convoluted because I actually got into the Warner Brothers Writers Program, which is they have all these kind of fellowships and stuff
Yeah.
in LA. And that's probably, I would say, just not, I mean, I'd say that was probably the best to get into.
Well, that's like a
Um,
huge deal to get into from
yeah,
what I
it's really,
remember.
and it took me years too. It wasn't like you like apply every single year. Like you write what's called a spec script, which is basically you just pick a random, TV show and write a fake script for it, basically. And that used to be back in the, even when I started, was kind of your calling card, like your sample that people would look at and stuff. um but now it's kind of fallen out of favor. Like now you're writing, like people looking at original pilots, but then you would like write a spec script and then you would send it to these programs and stuff, and you would, try to get into it. Actually, if uh one story so for me, the two big ones I was trying to get into were Writers on the Verge, which was NBC's program, and then obviously Warner Brothers program. And so I was really close a bunch of years with NBC. Like I would get into like the final, the interview stage or whatever, and like um and so I would always get called and stuff, and I'd come in, and finally like I just kept getting closer and closer, and then finally that year I I got a call from, and I went in for the interview and stuff, and I thought it went really well, and then I got a call from this woman, Karen Hess, really sweet woman. She runs or she did at the time anyway. She called and it was just like, or sorry, Karen Horn. So anyway, so she called and she was like, "This is the hardest call I've had to make all day," which is
Oh,
not
no.
in any situation. That's not
Yeah,
a way that you want a phone call to start out. You don't want your
exactly.
doctor calling to say that. You don't want
Yep.
your spouse calling to say that. So she was like, "Look, we usually take 4 comedy writers every year, but this year we're only taking 3, and you would have been the
You coulda
4th."
had it.
So
Oh my
I was
god.
like, so I was just crushed at that
I
point.
mean,
I mean, it
at
was just
that
like,
time too, you would have probably been I don't know if Parks and Rec was still on, but, like, if it because that's NBC, right? So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like, Superstore, all those, like, fun NBC shows you could have been working on.
Yeah, so it was literally like, yeah, it was, I can't remember what year it was, but yeah, it was right around, I think Parks and Rec was still on and stuff, but yeah, it was just like it was crushing. However, the good part of that story is that later on I did get the call from Warner Brothers like a month later, and then I got into that program. So
Oh,
which actually worked out really well because looking back at it, like it was so crushing not to get in the NBC one, but to get into Warner Brothers, that enabled me to come back and then work on Fuller House again as a writer. So I'm actually like if I had done the NBC program, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to come back. So it
Yeah.
kind of worked out, and it was just like and that's kind of always think back on like, as far as like having like these crushing things happen to you, but it might have happened, for a reason or whatever you want to say. But it just like,
Yeah.
so it all worked out, but at the time it did not feel good.
And that's, like, just typical showbiz, like, all of that,
Yeah.
like so the normal person listening is probably like, "Oh my god, that's chaos." That is very, very typical entertainment, and as you were talking, all I could think was, how did you survive? Because it took me a year and a half to get hired somewhere in LA, and I was doing 1,000 jobs and just coaching cheerleading and tray passing and doing all these things that you have to do just to pay your rent. But then I got a salary, and it wasn't a lot, but I had a salary, and I didn't have to go and do all this stuff like so many of my friends did that were trying to be writers or trying to be actors. So, like, what did you do in the meantime while you were like trying to get these gigs?
Uh, Basically an OnlyFans account, a lot of
Yeah.
feet pics and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. Yeah.
As you do. I
That's the big,
mean,
yeah.
it's the valley's right there. That's,
Right.
that's the
Exactly.
capital.
I mean, I
So,
still dabble, but yeah,
yeah.
it's actually it's on my Only Feet account. Is what I call it.
Yeah.
No, that's a good question. So I was basically, yeah, just kind of doing anything. When I first moved to LA, I started working at Macy's. I worked there it still existed at the time. I worked there. I kept doing production stuff, so I was, making enough just doing, and also my wife was working too. So between the two of us, I mean, she's been, I can't thank her enough. Shout out to Rachel. She's basically, supported me through all my, uh, trials and tribulations and stuff. So that helped a lot that she was, that we were both working. And I was, again, I was working as a PA a ton, and then started doing the extras work, which actually, I mean, that paid for my insurance and stuff for a while.
Yeah.
SAG actually like pays okay. I mean, even though you're just like kind of in the background and stuff, but as far as like, and I was doing that pretty steady, and then also working as an assistant and everything that helped, pay the bills. And it was all kind of like a stepping, stone to get up, like, so we were just kind of, existing. And eventually, yeah, once I was able to get into to the Warner Brothers program, and then that led to being a writer and getting the Writers Guild and stuff. So, yeah, that helped a lot.
So,
Um,
what is like the average work week look like for a writer? I kind of know, but I think most people wouldn't. I think most people would think, oh, you just like clock in 9 to 5, but that's not it. You have
yeah,
to, I think a lot of times you have to be kind of on call, especially if they're filming.
yeah. So that's a good question. So with working, especially on Fuller House, we would, it would be like you had like different shooting schedules and stuff, and so like you would spend a lot of time. So you would start, just to kind of back up a little bit, you would start, breaking the stories and writing before you started shooting, obviously. So you try to do as much of that as possible in the first few months, before you get into actually like shooting anything. And then, once you kind of get some shows under your belt and stuff, and then once you go into production, you'll, I'm trying to remember how the week was kind of set up. Like you would, um, so like during a shooting week, like you'd have run through of the script, uh, that you were shooting that week, Monday, Tuesday, and then I think it was like, um, excuse me, they were off. Like we would just be writing Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday they would rehearse, and then Thursday we would shoot just as much stuff that we needed to without the audience, and then Friday we would shoot with the audience. So we would shoot, in front of a live audience. So when
Yeah.
you ever see like the last, so those are real laughs, whether they're earned or not, I don't know, but those are actual people in the audience. So really it depended on the day. We would have, and just depended how far behind we were and stuff. But I mean, we would usually get in, you know, in the morning, and then you would kind of check in to see what they were doing on stage and stuff. And that's the good thing about working on a multicam sitcom, is that you're able to really be working directly with the actors and stuff, and you're always going down the stage. And then especially when they're shooting, like we had like one crew who would hang out and be working on like kind of the next week's episode or working on the episodes down the line. And we had another crew that would literally just be on stage while they were shooting stuff, so you could like, punch up jokes and stuff.
Yeah.
And they would always
Because
call.
sometimes you do have to do rewrites live. Like they
Yeah.
do it. It's like this is not working. We got to fix it.
Yeah, and that was really the most, that was my favorite part about it, to be honest. Like, that was the most exciting. Like, you would be the most exciting and nerve-wracking because, like, picture, like, we had, like, 200 people in the stands, and, they're all going crazy and enjoying themselves and stuff, but then when you had a joke that didn't work, it was just, like, dead silence. So
Yep.
then you would all have to come together, huddle up, and be like, "Okay, what," what, and you just start pitching things, and just whoever would, get something in there. And that was I always loved when I was able to kind of deliver because you would get automatic feedback. You
Yeah.
would pitch something and then you would give it to the actor and they're like, all right, we'll see, and you're kind of holding your breath and then the audience would laugh, like 200 people laugh at what you just wrote. So that was very fulfilling.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was definitely a really a fun part of it.
And like, was there so much pressure on you because the cast knows their characters? Most of the cast, the core cast, has been doing this for years, and they know their characters. These characters everybody loves. We all grew up with them. Like, was that pressure for you, or did you ever feel um, like shit? I have to like please Bob Saget. Like, I have to make Bob Saget laugh, or like Uncle Jesse.
Right.
Like he knows his shit forwards and backwards.
They were no, that's a great question. Yeah, because they lived these characters. I mean, they were these characters for 30 years before we got to them, which is
Yeah,
crazy. Like they had embodied these people. They had, so they definitely, had some notes on it and stuff. Like they'd be like, I don't think and so you had to definitely work with them and stuff, and everybody was great to work with, for the most part. But you would have to like, really there was a lot of negotiation going on
yeah,
and stuff, especially
yeah,
between, for our because Fuller House, you had the three main ladies who was really the, Jody and Candace and Andrea, who were at their character, Kimmy,
yeah.
Kimmy, Stephanie, and DJ.
If people
So
don't know who they are at this point, then I don't know what they're doing with their
yeah, yeah,
lives.
they know.
They
Let's
should
face
know
it.
at
If
this
you were,
point.
if
Yeah,
you're around our age, you know
yeah,
exactly who these people are. So that was, yeah, that was, very cool to be. And it really was like, it really felt like a big family. I mean, we literally were able to bring back like all these people who, grew up together and knew each other. And even after the original show ended, like they kept hanging out and stuff. So it was like, I feel very, blessed to be part of that, family and stuff to a certain extent, and just get to know these people that I grew up with, and watching, and it was so cool to like be able to like, write, you know a catchphrase, have mercy or whatever,
yeah. You're like,
so
what?
yeah. It was cool actually, like kind of going back to the nostalgia factor. Like there's so many stories I could tell. One that always sticks out to me is, like, I remember so they were building the sets and stuff. This was when they first literally were, like, first starting the show, and they were, like, they literally took the diagrams from the original show and were, like, recreating, the sets and stuff. So I actually got to drive Dave Coulier, who played, Joey
Yeah,
on the show. I got to drive him to the set in a golf cart, and like we were looking around and everything, and he wanted to see it, and he was just like, he was getting emotional. He was like, "Look, this is like going back to the house that you grew up in, but it's been
yeah.
torn down, but somebody's rebuilding it." Like he was just saying, it was the craziest thing. And then he was like getting emotional, and then it was funny. He goes, "You know what? Because we were shooting on the same stage that they shot the original on, which was pretty cool."
Oh my god, I didn't
Um,
even realize that. And
yeah,
was it at Warner Brothers?
it was at Warner Brothers. So they actually shot, not to get too much, but they shot some of it like the first season at Paramount, and they moved to Warner Brothers
Yeah,
later on. But anyway, so yeah, so we were at Warner Brothers. He's he was like, "You know what? Like this is the same stage that we were on." He's like, "I threw some underwear up into the rafters here when we were first working on it." He's like, "Let's go look for the underwear." I was like, "All right, sure." So it was a very out of body experience. I realized like, here I am up here with Dave Coulier, with Joey from Full
But
House.
that's also the most Joey thing I've ever heard in my
It
life.
is, yeah, and he is like that in real life too. He's a total like super sweet, nice guy, and he directed some of the episodes too, and obviously he like guest starred and stuff. But he was just like the coolest guy to hang out with, and he was like, I just it was he was like these are some of the greatest years of my life. I love being on the show and stuff, and so and we also shot on the same. Speaking of the stages, we shot on the same stage as Friends, which
Oh
was
my
kind of
god.
cool.
And
So we,
that's
yeah,
like the stage. So if you ever do
yeah,
a Warner Brothers tour, everyone's like, "Oh my god,
yeah,
it's the
yeah.
Friends stage," which I never got into Friends. I am the
Oh,
only
really?
millennial female that's like, I don't give a shit about Friends. I don't think it's that funny. I don't know if I missed the boat or whatever. I don't get it. And I'm also like, why in every single store you go to is there Friends merch? No matter what, there's Friends socks or like
Oh,
the
yeah.
fucking purple thing on the door or what. There's always something. It's like,
Yeah, no, that's funny because, yeah, they've literally, like they make, like, $1 billion a year off Friends or something
yeah,
crazy, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
we'd always see the tram would always come by, and we'd wave to them and stuff, and, they'd always, come in. Sometimes they'd bring them in and show them around the set and everything, but, yeah, we were always
yeah,
part of the
and then
tour.
I know they have like the coffee shop set up still, and everybody gets their picture and stuff. I've
Right,
never
right.
done the Warner Brothers tour. I think I did like a 5K on the Warner Brothers lot one
Oh,
time or
really?
something. But yeah, like one of those things. But like, and I don't know if it was like this for you. Well, one, I always said, and I was telling Jeremy this yesterday, like every single day that I lived in LA, I was like, I am so thankful to live here. Like, no matter how much money I had, how shitty it was, how crazy work was, I was always so happy to live there. And I just never took that for granted. But then at the same time, you get so used to being on a lot. And like for me, I wasn't on them as much, but we would have to go. Maybe they would have like a premiere on the lot and we would go,
Mhm.
or, a set visit or something like that. So I would have to go to things. And you just get used to it. Like they're all just big warehouses. It's just like you see on TV and in the movies. They're just big like warehouse things, and they're just numbers.
Yeah,
And everyone's driving around on their golf carts, and everyone's rushing to
right.
bring coffee to somebody or like their salad order from Earth Cafe or whatever. It's just always like crazy. But were do you think you ever got used to it, or like was it one of those things where you went in every day and you're like, holy shit, like I am working with Full House. Like, I am working with DJ Tanner every
Yeah.
day.
No, you're right. There were definitely times, I mean, especially when you're like, "Oh god, we gotta rewrite this because the studio doesn't like," there was definitely times where you would just be like, frustrated or whatever, but then you would have moments of, like, that would kinda bring you back to, like, "Oh, wow, okay, this is a cool thing," and it was definitely like, yeah, I always tried to really appreciate it, when I was doing it, and stuff, but it was but it becomes a job eventually, you are like, "Oh, we have to get there, and then we have to work long hours on the days we're shooting and stuff," and it just becomes like, "Oh, this kid won't say the line right or whatever," because we're
Oh,
like working all these
no.
these babies and stuff too. When we first started, they were like really little, and you're just like, the dog's not wearing the sunglasses
Oh,
correctly. Oh, geez.
my god.
Yeah, and or whatever, and you get like you kind of get in it. But I did try to really, because we had some great, and just obviously working with the main cast that we were able to work with was amazing and everything. But also like the people who would come in, like we literally, I think we probably got almost every single person from from the original show, minus the Olsen twins, of course,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But like
But
random
y'all
people
had
would.
some really good callbacks to them, like not being a part of it, which was like funny.
Yeah, that was always a fun thing to like I think that might have been part of the reason they didn't come back because they felt like we were making fun of them. Hope I don't know, but
No,
we
I
we
think they're
did
too
try to
cool.
make it fun, yeah,
Look,
it was like
there's like no smoking signs outside of the lots. All those girls do is smoke their cigarettes and carry their designer bags. They would not have been
that's true.
allowed.
Yeah.
So it's okay. It's not you, it's them.
Yeah, no, it was, but yeah, so we never got them back. Well, we did get some great, like we had we kept having like New Kids on the Block like
Yeah.
show up and stuff, and like we had my favorite, and she wasn't on the original show, but she was actually a connection through the showrunners. They went to Brown with her. We actually had Lisa Loeb on the
Oh,
show. And she was actually
yeah.
in the episode that one of the episodes I wrote when, and she was just that. I have a picture of me and Lisa Loeb sitting on the Fuller House couch,
Oh my
which I
god.
would argue is maybe the most millennial picture
Oh, yeah.
ever of having, Lisa Loeb and me. And she was amazing. She was so sweet and nice. And like, she was happy to be there. She was like, oh, this is so cool. And like, and she was playing herself, but she was great. And, yeah, she was, the whole episode was like, I think she was like, they were watching her cat or so or I can't even, yeah, I should remember, but, and oh, the Matt who played, the other, so DJ plays a vet, on the show, and then
Yeah, the
her
other vet,
partner,
yeah.
Matt, was like a
Don't
super
worry, I
fan.
have watched this show multiple times. I
Oh,
know
okay,
exactly
okay,
what you're
good.
talking about.
Oh, well, actually, to bring that up, actually, I
Oh
did
god. Oh
bring,
god, what's happening?
yeah,
We have a
hold on.
surprise,
Yeah, a
listeners.
surprise guest here.
Oh my god.
Um, yeah, this is so
Stop.
this is Oliver
Stop.
from,
Wait, and this is Oliver.
yeah, oh, hey, Oliver. So this was Matt, vet Matt Harmon's, yeah,
Oh
he was like a super
my
fan
god.
of Lisa Loeb, and he had he had his own little, ventriloquist act and
Oh
everything, so
my
I got to save this from
god.
the show.
Oh
So that
my
was fun.
god. This is showbiz, baby.
Yeah.
I love it. What an exclusive.
Yeah,
Oh my
exactly, yeah, you
god.
won't get that on any other
Guys, we
podcast,
have
come
a
on.
celeb guest. Oh
Yeah.
my god. See, stuff like that is just the best. Like, I need to find it. I have somewhere. Um, who's the guy that used to host America's Most Wanted? You know what I'm
Oh,
talking about?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
You
Yeah,
know what
I
I'm talking
heard,
about.
yeah,
My boss somehow met him or something, and I was like cleaning out the office one day, and I found he like autographed a picture for her, which like she was a very well known publicist. I don't know why he would have signed it for her. Maybe he was doing an event for her or something and just did it. I don't know,
yeah.
but I stole it from the office. I have that. Like, I stole so much stuff from my boss that was just like random little like showbiz things, and she didn't care.
Right.
She moved to Florida to retire. She did not give a shit. But like I stole all these things. She also used to do PR for like the Commodores and all these Motown guys. And so she had
Oh,
like
that's cool.
cases and cases of vinyl records, like original ones that they were supposed to send to press, like back in the day. I stole all those. Like I
Oh,
literally
wow.
stole so much stuff. Um, and
That's why you had to
she
leave LA, I think, because you were
yeah,
stealing
that's
so
why.
much,
That's
yeah.
why. But she was actually, I almost said Uncle Jesse, John Stamos's like first publicist or one of his first
Oh,
publicists or
cool,
whatever.
yeah. Oh, we
And
talked
so
about that, that's great.
he is one of those people and a little inside baseball. Like if you're very, very famous, you don't really need a publicist. You like at that point, a publicist isn't pitching you for things actively. They're just saying no. So like that's stuff that your manager or your agent can handle.
Mhm.
So anytime we had like a charity thing or whatever, John Stamos would drop by the office and give us a signed Full House, like original Full House script. And he's like, oh, I got cases and cases of these things. Like, I don't care. Because he literally saved every single thing from the
Oh,
show.
yeah.
So anytime we needed anything, he was like, I got you. I got you. I got you. And he probably was trying to make room for his Disney collection. But
Yeah.
was always so great to us. I think I caught him in his like wild days before he got married and had a son and stuff, but was always so kind to me and just like silly and playful. And you can tell that those guys and Bob Saget too. I never was really around him, but like you can tell that they are just the nicest people on the planet and just like they've been through some shit, they've seen some shit, and
Yeah.
they're old men now and they just want to chill and have fun.
Yeah, no, it was amazing to be able to work with all of them. They're all like super like great guys and stuff. Like Bob, like he remembered me even like because he was there, all from the get go,
Yeah.
obviously, and like he would remember me like even when I was just an assistant and stuff. He would be like, "Oh, hey, it's this guy or whatever," and um uh but he was super nice. The thing about Bob Saget, I mean, this isn't this. He's funny because he, he obviously he started out, everyone kind of knew him as like America's Dad or whatever. He had America's, funniest videos and stuff, another one of my favorite things of all time. And then obviously Full House and stuff. So he got this reputation as a squeaky clean guy when he wasn't really that, obviously, and that's come out.
His comedy was disgusting.
Right. Is that he's like super dirty and stuff. And I think he started kind of that, but I think he really leaned into it after Full Out because he's like, I don't want to be this.
Yeah.
I'm not just this guy. But if you were to actually meet him in real life, he's really a mix of both. Like he's like just he was like so sweet and so nice to people and everything. And he was just like doing, like he would go out of his way to be like take pictures with fans and stuff. And he was like such a nice guy. He would definitely give us crap about like, some of the writing and stuff, but that wasn't really my problem. That was more the
Yeah.
head writer's problem. But he was always like super, just going out of his way to do stuff. And he would be, super funny on set and stuff. And I mean, he'd say super inappropriate things and everything,
Yeah.
especially with kids around and stuff, but he was still he was still like, just a nice guy and everything. But yeah, and Stamos the same. I mean, he's much more he's really interesting because when you meet him offset, he's much more normal guy.
Yeah.
But he's not like, because growing up, who I knew who was like is like Uncle Jesse. He was
Rock
literally
star. Yeah.
the coolest dude ever. And I was super intimidated to meet him. And then I remember like meeting him and he was like, oh wait, this is just kind of a normal guy,
This is a Disney adult. Okay. He's a
Right.
Disney
Yeah.
adult.
Yeah. Yeah. He is like super into He actually got his start, uh, um, I believe he played like in a cover band or something at Disney growing
Yeah.
up. And so that's why he got like super into Disney and stuff. Um, but he's one of these guys who like can just turn on the charm,
Hmm.
not like he's kind of like, just a normal guy walking around by stage. But as soon as they're like, oh, and John Stamos come, I mean, he's Uncle Jesse.
Yep.
Like he's like the coolest dude ever. But yeah, but yeah, everyone was, super cool to work on that show.
Do you have any like crazy Hollywood assistant stories? Like any like bullshit that you were asked to do? Like I had to like first week at the job had to go and get my boss new tires on her car. Another boss I had to she was like, I'm going to visit my nieces and nephews in Michigan. Go to Beverly Center and buy them some presents. And I'm like, I don't know them. Like, how old are they? And she's like, I don't know. Like, just go get them stuff. So, like, I had to go and buy presents for kids that I didn't know and I didn't even know their ages. So, like, do you have any weird stuff like that?
Sure. Yeah. No, I worked for, uh, I would say I am Bob actually when I was working for Bob Boyette, like I wish I had more like, bad stuff I could say about him or more, but he was again, super nice guy. I mean, it's very boring to say, but I would do like a lot of things for him and stuff, but it was very, he was super nice to me and everything. I do have some crazy more like the production assistant, like, that would really put
Oh,
me into
yeah, I'm
so
sure.
yeah, like, one funny story I always remember, I mean, there's so many, but, like, it was always one of my jobs, as a PA, basically, you're kinda doing all the little nuts and bolts things around the set and everything, like making sure the extras are, in the right place and telling them what to do and everything, or you're cueing the actors, which I always really enjoyed, because then you kinda see, like, how people prep for their role. You're like, okay, right before you say action, you see them getting into character and stuff, and it's very cool to kind of see that. But this was years ago. This was on trying to think it, because this was, if you just look me up on IMDb, you can figure out what show this is. I don't want to get into too many details because it gets kind of crazy. But so basically, like, there's a scene where the woman in the scene I was cueing her basically to go out, and she was supposed to come out from context clues you can figure out what show this is. But I was basically it was a party scene. She was supposed to come out and like take a bunch of shots and then rip her shirt off and be like, show like
Yeah,
literally like flash everybody
girls
and
gone
stuff. So
wild. Yeah.
that was her role, and so I was cueing her and everything. And so I'd just be like, they over the walkie, they'd be like, all right, action. I would say action. She was very professional and stuff. She would, put her shirt back on. What I didn't realize though, is I guess she decided to take a very method approach to this role. And so every time she came out, she would actually take a real tequila shot. And so, which
So
she
she's
should
getting
not.
drunker and drunker.
So she keeps getting drunker and drunker as we go through. And again, she's like ripping her shirt off the whole time. And at first she was like very like, she'd rip it off. Then right after after a while, she didn't care. She didn't give a damn. Like she was like, she'd rip it and she'd come back and just be like stumbling back in. It's like, woo! Like just, her boobs are just like hanging out. Like, that's what boobs look like,
Oh,
right? Yeah.
no,
And so
yeah,
she
exactly.
would come back in and she would just like, and it just kept me, but for me, like, it kept getting harder and harder for me to do my job and like in
Yeah.
fewer, because she wasn't paying attention. I'd be like, look at me, look, I'm gonna say action. Like you need to
Oh
go
my
out
god.
when I say it. She's like, and I remember finally I was just like, all right, and action. And she was just like, I don't know what you're talking about, but you're cute. I was just like, go, action, go, go. And she's like, oh yeah, woo, And so it was just
And
like,
no one was, like, stopping her from
it,
getting drunk.
it was just like, I don't know if anybody knew that she was, maybe I guess everybody thought she was just doing a really good job. And like,
Yeah.
I think she was just like, yeah, I guess she was just like, she did what we needed at the time, but I was definitely, see, they were like yelling at me in the walkie, like, go, why is she going? Why aren't you telling her to go? I was like, I'm trying to, but she's like,
She is drunk.
just running around and throwing her shirt around. But, yeah, I think she ended up like passing out in her trailer after lunch. So,
Yeah, I can
so
imagine.
that's,
Like, and that is kind of a no-no. Like, you are not technically supposed to drink on set, even if you're
oh,
doing
totally.
drinking scenes,
Right.
like, and I think that's something a lot of people don't realize too, like, if they're drinking a beer, it's like water with food coloring in it, or like
Yeah.
wine, it's gonna be grape juice, they're different things, or even non-alcoholic beer. You generally do not just chug booze,
Right.
and people do it sometimes, and they'll tell you, like, "Yeah, I really had to get into it, so, I did this, but good lord, no,
No,
hard
it was
pass."
great. Yeah, she should. Yeah, and I think like the prop guy afterwards too, because he was kind of like, yeah, I don't think that we should have been doing this kind of thing. It was like, and to be fair to her, I think it was like every other one, but we did so many takes.
Yeah.
I think she kind of got carried away, and she was just like, yeah, just blitzed by the end of it. Not to mention the fact that her boobs are just like hanging out like the
Oh,
entire
bless
time.
her, lord. Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
I mean, she, is, I guess she's a method actress, so, yeah, I'm not sure where she is today,
My
but
god.
yeah.
Um, what everyone always asks me this, like, what's the best celebrity encounter and what's the worst celebrity encounter?
Oh, man, the best I'm trying to think, because I work so closely with all these people,
Yeah,
it's hard to it's hard to, like, to say, but I'm trying to think of, like, a random celebrity outside of, Fuller House. Obviously, like, I already talked about Bob Saget, and they're
yeah.
all, he was so great to work with, and Stamos and Coulier, and then um, all the ladies and stuff. Um, I would say, okay, I got a good one. So I worked on Eastbound and Down.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, let's
so
go.
that
Wait, did
was,
you
yeah.
see that there's a musical of Eastbound and Down?
Oh, I didn't know
I
that.
have to I will when we get off, I will send you the Instagram. It is hilarious. Like, the guy looks just like Danny McBride. It is the best thing ever.
Oh, that's awesome, that's awesome. No, that's amazing. I mean, that was literally, no offense to Fuller House, but that was literally the hardest I've ever laughed on set, because
Oh, I'm sure.
they would just be, riffing, and just because it was, Danny McBride, who at the time, he wasn't really Danny McBride yet. He had been
No.
in a couple things, but he wasn't. This was the first season of Eastbound and Down. This was the last thing I worked on before I moved out to LA. And, that was in Wilmington, and he was just, like, the sweetest, nicest guy. He's nothing like Kenny
Yeah.
Powers,
Oh,
but
yeah.
he, like, the characters he plays and stuff, he was, like, really cool with me and stuff. And his wife, she was, like, in the prop department and stuff. I think like, fiance at the time or whatever,
Yeah.
but, they get married, and she was, like, super nice. But on that, like, he was great and everything, but to me, the biggest, like, the biggest thing for me at the time was the fact that I got to, uh, meet Will Ferrell. And then that was like he was like
Oh,
my
yeah.
idol, and he still is. I mean, he was just like especially at that time, I was like such a big SNL fan, such a big Anchorman fan. I mean, I was like, Anchorman might be my favorite movie of all time. Like, I remember seeing that for the first time and just literally falling over in the seat in the theater, like dying laughing. So to get to meet him, and he actually like, he kind of came up to me like I was running around base camp. I remember I was having a really like crappy day and stuff and like running around and like, like trying to get stuff going and stuff. And then like I remember like I went past me, he's just like, hey, you're Will, right? And I was just like, yeah, he's like, I'm Will. And it was just like, I keep thinking people are calling, so he was like, he like knew my name and stuff. He's
Cute.
like, I keep thinking people are calling for me and he's like, hey, and like shook his hand and everything. And it was just like, it was like one of those like meeting a celebrity times, like where you're just like, I just lit up, it was just like,
Yeah.
it was very cool. It's like, okay, all this crap is like worth it to meet like, your idols or whatever. And he was just like he was just so friggin' funny. Like watching the show, what the show itself is funny, but like I can't even tell you like how much they had to cut out because it was just like
Oh, I'm
them just
sure.
riffing. And I think there's like some behind the scenes stuff. You can see any of that, it's worth watching because it's so fun. Like he just does like take after take, and it's just like I am just like trying not to ruin takes by like laughing, like, and it was just like it was, yeah, that was just amazing to see like these like masters of their field, like just delivering, so that was definitely one of the best celebrity encounters I've ever had for sure.
I love that, and that was a time too. Will Ferrell was in North Carolina a lot because he apparently has family that lives in Cary, and I remember
Oh, I didn't
because
know
I was
that.
in college, and I guess his, like, nephew went to one of the high schools in Cary and was on, like, the wrestling team, and so people kept
Oh
seeing
yeah.
him, and they would post on, like, MySpace or whatever, like,
Oh
or
yeah.
Facebook, "Oh my god, I saw Will Ferrell at my cousin's, like, wrestling tournament," or whatever. Yeah, so he was there all the time, I guess. It makes
Yeah. Oh,
sense. He
that's
was
so
filming,
funny.
and then he probably popped over to see his family in the triangle. Um, I always tell people, as weird as it is, one of my best celebrity experiences was with, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, and,
Oh.
like, as toxic as their relationship is, I was at the Kung Fu Panda 2 premiere, and I'm pretty sure I was with another publicist, and he ended up being, like, such a scammer, but I'm pretty sure he, like, scammed our way in, and we ended up, like, 5th row on the at the premiere, and it was at Chinese Theater,
Uh-huh.
and Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt, and all their kids sat directly behind us. So, like, my friend was like, "Oh my god, I think Angelina Jolie is, like, sitting behind us." So she comes in and she, like, taps us on our shoulders and she's like, "Okay, guys, um, all my kids, all 50 of my kids are about to be on this row. I am so sorry if they kick you or they're loud. Like, please just turn around and tell us. Like, I'm so sorry." Like, total mom mode. And we were
Oh
like,
my
"Oh,
god.
not a big deal. Like, you're Angelina Jolie. Like, you could punch me in the face, I wouldn't care." And, like, so she goes in and, like, sits, or, like, it was either her or one of the nannies, then some of the kids, then another adult, and then some of the kids, and then Brad Pitt. So Brad Pitt is, like, sitting directly behind me, and I'm just like, "Oh
Oh
my
my
god."
god, that's
And
amazing.
then Angelina and her nanny go to the front, and at premieres, they all the food's free. So they have, like, a table of popcorn, a table of drinks, a table of snacks. And she literally, like, they came up with all the popcorns and they passed them down the row, and they passed out the sodas and they passed out the snacks, and those kids all just sat there and, like, ate the whole time. But, like, that's one of my favorite memories because I'm like, she was just a mom. Like, it was her
Mom mode,
premiere
yeah.
and she was just a mom. She did not give a shit about her movie. She just wanted to make sure her kids were not kicking us or,
Right.
acting up. And they were great kids.
That's really, that's so interesting. Yeah, it's great. It's interesting, it feels like, was it Us Weekly stars are just like us,
Yeah,
It feels like,
exactly.
yeah, that's a great story, yeah, because yeah, just good, total Angelina mom,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
And
and
then
that's
on the flip side, I got a story of, being at a private charity event in the Hollywood Hills at this mansion, and Jeremy Piven is there on drugs, and he's laying on the bathroom floor touching a rug and telling everyone to come in and touch the rug, and I'm like, "What?" I just moved to LA, and I'm like, "Oh my god, he really is the guy on
I was
TV."
gonna say, I've only heard, yeah, I've never had any kind
I
of
think he's better
run-ins with
now,
him, but
but it
oh,
was
okay.
during his wild days.
Oh, okay, got it. Um, yeah, I've only heard weird things about him. Not that I
Yeah,
know him personally, but,
yeah,
yeah. No, I'm trying to think of any really negative. I mean, I obviously had negative, interactions with people. I'm trying to think of any celebrities that I could talk about,
yeah.
that
Oh, at
kind
this
of
point,
rub me
I
the
don't
wrong.
even
Yeah,
care. I don't care.
right.
Like,
Um,
okay, well, I mean, some of while you're thinking, some of my positive stories, Leonardo DiCaprio is very kind, very shy.
oh, that's
I
interesting.
had to I was doing check-in at the Weinstein Group's pre-Oscar party at some hotel in Beverly Hills, and he came up and he's like in his little newsboy hat and he's like, I don't want to stay. I just want to like say hi to Harvey quickly and then I want to leave. Do you mind walking me in? And I'm like, sure, like, let's go. Like, I don't care. And meanwhile, I'm just like, oh God, oh God. And I'm like, are you having a good night? He's like, yeah. Are you having a good night too? Like, he's been so kind. And he literally like held my arm like I was
Right,
escorting
right.
him to homecoming or something and took him to Harvey, stood there while they hugged each other and then got him out of there. Um, and then I wrote about it on Tumblr, and Harvey Weinstein's lawyers had me take it down. But
Oh,
now I know
really?
why. Now I know why.
Yeah.
Because they were just telling everybody to take any mention of Weinstein Company down, which they can't do shit to me
Oh,
now. I got a podcast, and
yeah,
he's in
really.
jail. So
I was gonna say, yeah, jeez.
it's not
Uh,
slander. It's me just talking about something.
I was
But
gonna say, yeah, that might
now
be the best story out there about Harvey Weinstein, I would say.
yeah,
Yeah,
literally.
he
But
did. Yeah.
then, I mean, I definitely have other stories because I did a couple of his parties, but they asked me not to work the parties anymore because, like, I'd posted on like Twitter, like, oh, working the Harvey Weinstein party this weekend, whatever. And they were like, she can never like post anything. I never signed an NDA because I
Oh,
was with a
really?
third
Oh my
party
gosh.
company. I was like, so like their company had hired another company to help produce the event. And then I was just friends with that company, so I just helped them out sometimes. So like I hadn't signed anything. I wasn't posting anything bad, but they had me take it all down and then I was not allowed to work any of his stuff anymore, which I don't care. I wasn't
I was
getting
gonna
paid
say
anyway. It was
that's
free.
probably for the best, honestly. I mean, who knows what coulda.
I know. Good
Yeah,
Lord.
yeah. Oh, man. Um,
It's okay if you
yeah.
don't have any bad
I
stories.
know, I'm trying to think of any bad, like, and we've definitely had, like, some interesting what, I would say, there's definitely, uh, I don't know, I try well, we definitely had okay, so I'll just say I did work on a movie called, The Bleeding, which, was an interesting, vampire movie that no one's ever heard of, that it
Yeah.
was in Wilmington. It almost killed me, just working on it. That was just insanity, and we did have a rapper on there. Again, I won't say his name,
Yeah.
but, it consisted of 3 letters, and he was just it was just pandemonium the entire time he was there. Let's just say that. He literally like he would just show up, and we knew it like going into it. We had him there for maybe like 2 days or something, and it was just chaos. Like, and I will say he again. All these people they're super nice to me. They just go crazy like,
Yes.
and like, they're just very crazy with production and stuff, so I'm like it was my job to, like, keep track of them basically, so I'm like and above we were shooting above a bar, so he kept going into the bar and, like, having drinks, so I would go down there and, like, hang out with him, and
Oh
he's just
my
like,
God.
"Yo, yeah, 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 I love these people, yeah, yeah," get all pumped up
Oh
and
my
everything. I
God.
was like, "Yeah, well, we love you too here, Mr. X."
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you just said who it was.
well,
It's
you
fine.
can figure it
We
out,
know
yeah,
who it
3
is. Yeah, you
yeah,
said 3 letters.
right,
I
right,
did
right.
the
One of
and
those may or may
yeah,
not be an X at the end of it,
yeah,
and, it's and so he was just like again, he was, like, super nice, he's like, "Yeah, yeah, dog," and, he would literally, like I know he's, like, really known for having dogs and stuff, but he would literally like, adopted a dog while we are there, like, somebody had a random dog that they were walking around, so then he got his bodyguard, like, ended up, like, just taking care of the dog the whole time, it was, like, this little puppy and stuff, and then
oh my
he's like
God.
but we'd
So
be
he, like,
shooting it.
bought a dog off someone?
Yeah, he basically just bought a dog off a guy who, like, he had, like, a dog and, like, his bodyguard is, like, this giant dude who actually I grew up with, in Wilmington. He was just kind of assigned this bodyguard, and he was just this giant dude, and he's, like, just carrying this little tiny dog around, like, feeding him and everything, and then, he like we were like yeah during the scene we were like all right where is he where's DMX or excuse me, yeah where
It's
where
okay.
is yeah where and so we'd be looking around for him, we couldn't find him, and then we realized we saw him run, he jumped on this guy random dude's motorcycle who just showed up, and he was just like, hey, you want to ride my motorcycle? He's like, yeah, let me get it. And he's just like literally flying down the street with no helmet on or anything, and then his bodyguard's like, oh, like grabs the dog and like runs. He hops into like a production vehicle, floors it, slams into a piling behind, like wrecks the car, and then like pulls out to follow him because he doesn't, And it was just like it was like
What?
that. It was just like chaos. Like I was basically the ex wrangler the entire time.
Oh my God. I mean, may he rest in peace,
Yeah, I know.
DMX. What
Really,
a legacy he leaves behind.
yeah, no kidding.
Also, are you cursing people? You work with people and then they die.
I was gonna say, yeah, like Bob Saget, yeah, DMX, like it's really been we worked right before, and on Fuller House, unfortunately, we had a few people. We had um uh Alan Thicke.
Oh,
He
yeah.
worked he literally like I think we were like the last thing he worked on before he died. Again, super nicest guy ever, like
Yeah.
really super sweet. And that was a tragedy. We had
We need to like sage you or something. We
I
need to
know. I don't
like,
know. I think I just need to stop working on stuff. Like
I
it's
know.
really, and and we had one of the head writers, or he wasn't head, but he was like one of the top writers. He passed away like mid season, like which was really a tragedy. Like he was like a really a mentor of mine and stuff. So that was really a tragedy. But yeah, it's amazing like how many things we've had behind the scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
But
And so like, did all the writers' strikes fuck you?
yeah,
Like,
basically. So, yeah, nothing. So, not to get too inside baseball behind it, but
yeah.
basically, my biggest thing is so basically you had all these like streaming services, come about and stuff, and so
Hmm.
they started producing, just they're trying to outspend each other and stuff, and they realized, oh wait, we can't this isn't a good business model unless we don't pay everyone
Hmm.
who's kind of working. So both the Writers Guild as well as SAG, Screen Actors Guild, they were like, no, we're not going to just work for free for y'all so y'all can make all this money. So we both struck. Those was a few years ago, a couple years ago, and yeah, and ever since then, it's just really hasn't recovered since. So it's just been a real, a rough time, because now there's been a lot of downsizing just in, everyone calls it what, you get smaller, I can't think of, anyway, downsizing basically
Yeah.
and stuff. And so, yeah, and now they're not really producing a lot of stuff, and it's just, yeah, it's affected everybody, in the industry. Unfortunately, we kind of had it all figured out, especially in TV. Like it was all kind of figured out for the last 70 years. Like we knew how TV worked is,
Hmm.
the networks and everything. And then they came, the streamers came in and disrupted everything, which I mean, I'm not sure if they knew what business model they were doing. And so it kind of just threw everything for a loop, and it's really still recovering to this day.
Yeah. And I
Um,
think what a lot of people don't understand that maybe haven't worked in entertainment is now we have all of these streaming services and they have to keep up with our binging habits. Like I binged 2 freaking TV shows last week. I binged Selling Sunset, which is probably the worst show on television, and Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, which is equally as bad. It's just all toxic women. But like those are 2 shows. Those shows took like 6 months to
right.
film, shoot it, produce it, all that, cut it, edit it, everything else. But like it only took me that short of time to binge it, and then I wanted something else to watch. So like the that combined with the fact that the subscription model, everybody's only paying like $9 per whatever, maybe $20 at most. Like that's not keeping up, and they're not selling advertising, and no one wants to pay for advertising anymore because of social media. And so
Right.
it's just a whole shit show that, then that gets us into, well, they don't have the budgets that they used to, or they don't want to pay what they used to because they need to do more content instead of quality. And it's just a whole shit show. So I don't envy you at all.
Well, I mean, that kind of brings me to what I'm doing now. Like I'm actually pivoting into marketing and advertising. And so I've been working, with this marketing company. Shout out to ArcSense. They've been great. Connor Walker, who worked for Lenovo for a long time, he's kind of taken me under his wing and mentoring me a little bit. And also Rosie Rose over there. Hey to Rosie. But anyway, so they've been, so that's why I'm trying to, I still want to be in this world of TV and stuff because I love it. I love the entertainment field, but just, I'm trying to pivot into another creative thing. So that's my goal now. But
Yeah.
yeah, it really has. It's thrown everybody for a loop. I've been talking to friends who work all the time. Like I got a good buddy, Vincent, who works, and he's saying it's just been tough, for writers, for everybody, really, which is it's really been unfortunate. But hopefully, people are always gonna want to watch, television and movies and stuff. So hopefully, we'll figure out a way to come around on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
I'm
see.
seeing the same thing in PR. So the PR I was doing 10 years ago is not the same PR I'm doing now, and it's harder and harder for me to get traditional press for clients because nobody writes at these publications anymore. Everyone's a freelancer. So I have to
Hmm.
pitch a freelancer, then they have to pitch the publication to try to get it. So it's an added layer as opposed to 5, 6 years ago, I could just email my friend that worked at the publication and just say, "Hey, can you do something with me on this? And can we get something up?" And like I'm trying to pivot a lot of my stuff to podcast pitching because there's a million podcasts, there's
Hmm.
good quality podcasts, people listen, and you get that extra little bit of content that you can repurpose. So, um, I for 2026, I'm still gonna have my traditional, like, PR services, but I'm really hitting hard with podcast pitching and doing it at a lower rate so I can add on more clients and just help as many people as possible and just get that ball rolling. But it's hard and it's scary because the media landscape, the entertainment landscape, it's changing every freaking day. And who
Yeah.
knows what it's gonna look like tomorrow, especially with, like, if TikTok can go away for a weekend, anything can go away. So
No, definitely. It's a totally different, like you used to have the main things where you could reach people. Now there's a million different ways. I think the biggest issue is like everything's free now. Almost,
yeah.
not necessarily, not really, but like from the streamers to the internet and everything, you have so many different ways to reach people, but then you used to be able to reach people all at once, but now everything's so niche too. It's hard to, figure out, obviously from your standpoint as a PR person, like, okay, there was a whole set of rules to do this not even 5 years ago. There's different than now, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because yeah, just the whole landscape. But the podcast thing is interesting because that really, that's a niche thing, but it's you reach people so well in podcasts because people really get into them and stuff. And I love the other certain podcasts that I'm just
Yeah.
like I know all the people's backstories in it and stuff. It's like you get attached to the people that you're listening to. So
Yeah. Do you think that, um, like some of your writing colleagues are gonna start going more to like paid Substacks or like doing stuff with Substack or even doing like a scripted podcast? Do you see that kind of thing happening?
possibly, I know a big thing right now that I'm still trying to is like everyone there's verticals, I guess they're calling them, are pretty
Yeah.
popular. It's like for on your phone and stuff. So I think that's like kind of a new thing that's kind of come up. I don't know how successful that's going to be. I mean, they've tried to do that. They tried to do that with what was it? Quibi, which was,
Oh my
do you
God.
remember
Yeah.
Quibi? Yeah. It was,
Yes.
yeah,
It
so they
failed
they've tried it.
miserably.
Yeah, and so Quibi, which actually, do you know why it was named Quibi?
Uh-uh.
You know the name Quibi? It
It's like
was short
quick
for
something.
quick bites. So they're like, "Oh, it's Quibi." So which
I knew
is,
quick was in there, but like
yeah,
I hate
quick bites. So
everyone.
I think it was supposed to be
I
like these
knew
short little videos.
I knew so many people that had Quibi shows. Did you know people that had Quibi shows?
Yeah, one of my good buddies, I'm pretty sure he's really successful. He's done a lot. Jamil, he's done a lot with animation a lot and stuff and comedy. And so I'm pretty sure he had a Quibi show. I might be talking a term, but I'm pretty
I
sure
knew
that
like
he had
4
something
people
lined
that
up. And
that
yeah,
did. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, I got a Quibi show." And then like 3 days later you can never watch it because it failed.
yeah, it was just like it's what's funny, Quibi just sounds like a joke in the like
Yeah.
that you would put like in a movie or something. You're like, all right, we need a stupid name for something. Like, how
Yeah.
about Quibi? Oh, that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like Tubi.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also know people that are like, "Oh, my show's on Tubi." I'm like, "That's nothing to brag about."
Well, I was actually going to pitch my show here, but I guess I
Well,
won't, talk about
nope,
Tubi.
not
My
gonna do it.
yeah, yeah. I was
Sorry,
gonna,
Tubi. If you wanna
yeah,
sponsor this podcast, I will be your biggest fan. Give me your money for
yeah.
your free
Actually, I have
app.
Larry Tubi here. Come in, Larry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's who it's named after.
My
Um,
god.
but yeah, there's all kind. That's another thing too. Like everything's so split. There's like a million different streamers, and then they're doing it in different ways. You don't know. I was like, there's certain ones that you're like, how do they even make money, or is it
I
just
know.
all investor capital? And I don't even know how that works. Or they just honestly, I think eventually, and you've kind of seen this already to a certain extent. I think we're gonna have to go back to like with advertising being more of a part of it. Like you've seen that like now, like if you don't pay a certain, amount, like you'll like now, like with our Disney subscription, like we get advertisements or like our Amazon and that sort of thing, which I think, is from a consumer standpoint, it's a little annoying, but I think for it to survive, I think that's where they're gonna have to make their money in other ways. So I think that's gonna be a bigger thing, as
Yeah.
well. Um, but but yeah, I think possibly that might be more the future of streaming and stuff. And it's gonna be just we'll just see kind of we're basically seeing already like it's basically like all these streamers are gonna bundle and then you're gonna buy that and then you're gonna just kind of basically they're reinventing cable that you can control. That's basically what
It's
it's gonna
all
be.
gonna end up being the
Right.
same thing. They're all gonna have the same freaking subscription. And then
Right.
also, like, I realized we're paying for ESPN, we're paying for Disney, we're paying for Hulu, but now it's a bundle. So it's like, do I cancel it all and just get it all together? It's
No, I
annoying.
know, it's the same thing. Yeah, yeah, it's really it's like the Wild West, um, a very, boring version of the Wild West, I guess,
Yeah.
without the dysentery, I guess,
Oh
the
my
Wild
god.
West.
Exactly. Oh, rest in pieces to those people who
Yeah.
had diarrhea and they died. Um, okay, so tell everyone where to find you on the internet. And if you have an ask, give us your ask. Like if you want them to like and subscribe or whatever. So give
Yeah,
us that.
sure. Yeah, I just made a new website. It's will-griffin.com. Unfortunately, willgriffin.com is already taken, but it's will dash griffin or I don't know what's the yeah,
That's a
you
dash.
figure it
Yeah.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
or maybe look up, you can see my IMDb page and all that. Uh I don't really have any like YouTube channels or anything like them, subscribe, but uh I
Add you on LinkedIn.
is
Yeah. Find you on LinkedIn.
find me on LinkedIn. Just yeah, look me up, Will
We'll have
Griffin.
it all in the show
Yeah.
notes at the
Okay.
bottom
Yeah.
so people can click it and be your friend and, send you unsolicited script ideas and all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
Because
that would
that's
be
what
fun. Yeah.
happens.
And oh, look for me on OnlyFeet too. Let's not forget
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
on my
exactly.
OnlyFeet account.
You got to pay the mortgage.
Exactly. Yeah. Now I'm just dedicated to the craft. Now it's
Yeah.
really about that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Ollie supports it. Isn't that right,
Hey,
Ollie?
Ollie. I know. Yeah. Yeah.
And the
Well,
other
yeah.
Ollie.
And Oliver also.
Oliver and Oliver. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on, Will.
No problem. Yeah. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was a blast.
How fun is Will? Isn't he just the sweetest baby? I mean, like, I'm sure he has some crazy stories from the Fuller House set, and I need to know them off the podcast. But so glad that Will came on. Hopefully, you guys learned a little bit about the ins and outs of the entertainment industry. It's something that I love so much, and I miss my time in LA so much. But now I am here. Will is here, so maybe we'll be able to sprinkle a little bit of that LA magic on Raleigh. But thanks for listening. Like and subscribe wherever you find podcasts, and we'll talk to you soon. Like and subscribe to my podcast. It's Unhinged. Dun, dun, dun.